Ted, you are running the meeting today, the PowerPoint?
I'm doing the PowerPoint and everything, but I figured you'd still do your normal role here.
Yes. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so you'll still run the meeting, even though I'm going to have the bulk of it here.
Yeah, right. Yes, you are correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good.
I really like these additional options we have for backgrounds now.
Okay, now I should be able to hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound a little muffled, but I can hear you.
Okay, I'll just speak up a little if that works better.
Yeah.
Hey, Ted, can you try sharing your PowerPoint now? I remember the last time we tried this, the PowerPoint slides came off as really small for some reason. See if we can do some troubleshooting in the next minute or two.
Yeah, I'll probably share the program instead of the screen. Maybe that'll help.
Or you can share the window.
Yeah, I think that's what we did last time, and I think that's why it was smaller. I could be wrong, though. I'll try both. We'll see what works here.
And whichever way you do it, just go to full screen in PowerPoint before you start doing it, maybe? I don't know.
You want to go to slideshow, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, do we have it set so we don't have to approve everybody that comes in? That's going to save some time.
Yeah, I think it says Ted set up the meeting, not Nick.
Got it.
That is very nice. Not clicking admit.
You're welcome.
Good work. Okay, 20 so far. Okay. Well, it's not even noon yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, before we get into the big stuff, I suppose people will be here, so that's not a big deal.
Can you try the slides now?
Yeah, I can try this. So let's do this. No. Here.
Oh, Amy, we have to admit her. She's waiting in the lobby.
That's because she's not on our teams, I think.
Oh, okay. She's external, technically.
Okay, so if I do it like that, I don't think that's what I want. Let's try this. Okay, so how does that look right now? Is it small or is it really big?
It's very small.
Looks small to me. Yeah.
Let's try this then. What about now? How does it look?
That's better.
Yes, yeah, better.
I mean, it's still got the big black outline around it, but
what about now?
That's much better.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Getting a question that chat is turned off. Is that the normal setting, or I thought we usually had chat?
So and this is where you come in. People are going to be able to put questions. They should be able to directly to you or through Q&A function that should be here. Let's see what we can find.
Or we could turn the chat on. I see
Yeah,
that you've also muted all attendees too.
No, the chat got way too disruptive when we were going through this last meeting.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
All right.
All right. So the chat was turned off for a reason. Okay.
Yeah, and you can help me figure this out. Or maybe people can just send you messages specifically, and then you'll be able to read questions off, or either of us.
Oh, just message me directly on Teams.
Yep.
Okay. Ronald can't unmute. Let me see.
Yeah, you've turned off the microphone for everybody in the settings, except organizers. There's only 4 of us, and yeah. Excuse me. It's,
Correct.
You want that on because people can ask questions and such?
No, that's why we wanted to use the chat function to send them to Jeff or myself, and then we'd read the questions off for people. All of the budget forums and resolution forums were being handled that way. So since this is going to take up the vast bulk of the meeting, it felt appropriate to just handle it in the same. Let's see here. Let's see method. What is this?
Well, who else is presenting? Because we've got everybody turned off. I can add them to the co-organizers and they can talk.
Ronald is the only other one.
He says he can't. Ronald can't unmute.
I just added him. Try it now.
Try it now, Ronald.
Hang on, I had to save it. Okay, Ronald, try it now.
Yeah, now I see it.
Okay, I can talk now.
Okay. It's 12:05.
Let's get started. So welcome to the October 2023 general meeting for the local 401. I'm Jeff Gintz, the local president. This month's joke is, what kind of pictures do turtles take? Of course, they take shelfies. So welcome. We have a packed agenda here today. So let's jump into it here. Next slide. We have the Circle of Trust, and those are the names there. So I think most of you are familiar with us. The business agent, Nick Fry, is out this month. But any questions, feel free to email or message directly anybody on that Circle of Trust. All right, we have the local updates from me. Then we'll do the budget from Ronald. I'll go over the delegate assembly resolutions. And then the meat of the program will be Ted doing the statewide budget proposal and the dues increase proposal. And then if we have time, we'll do the community donation survey, the Stewards Corner, and the labor movement slides. Would anybody like to introduce themselves if this is your first meeting or something like that? Oh yeah, we have everybody muted. So if you want to introduce yourself, message
They'd have to
Jeff
raise their hand.
directly. Message me directly, I guess. All right. So the delegate assembly resolutions, the delegate assembly is next Friday, the 27th and Saturday, the 28th. And there are a list of delegates that will vote on these resolutions. The first one is replacing a regional chief steward with regional lead steward. It's a language change. The chief steward language has become outdated, so they're changing that to regional lead steward. So it's pretty straightforward, just a simple language change to get that to more modern, updated language. So that's the first resolution. The next one is the elected term for statewide and regional officers will change from 2 years to 4 years. So when they're elected, it will be a 4-year term instead of a 2-year term. And then number 3 goes along with number 2. There will be no limits on how many terms served. So we've been calling this the term limits resolution. So basically, for instance, the MAPE statewide president could be elected to 4-year terms, and there'd be no limit on how many terms they could be elected to. So that is the second resolution. And then the final is the statewide elections committee will call a special election for delegates and negotiators. What this is doing is basically lining up the elections to be more in line with when people actually serve in the role. For example, delegates for delegate assembly, we've been having the election for the delegates almost a year before the delegate assembly. So people think they can be available that weekend, and then 10, 12 months later, they realized that they had something booked, or people didn't remember that they had been elected as a delegate. There was such a long time between the election and when the actual delegate assembly happened that they decided to clean that up. It's kind of the same thing with the negotiators. I think they were having elections for negotiations right after they had completed a contract cycle, and a lot of negotiators were burned out or didn't want to commit for 2 years in the future. So we are changing. They're proposing to change those to a special election that are essentially more in line with when the delegates and the negotiators would actually serve from that election. So for those 3 resolutions, your elected delegates will vote on those, and then they'll either be approved or denied based on the votes. Of course, there is a lot more to it. There can be amendments proposed, and there's going to be a lot of discussion. But we wanted to inform the membership of what the resolutions were at Delegate Assembly this year and kind of how the process works. So I think we have 7 delegates this year from the local 401, and each local gets a number of delegates assigned based on how many are in that local. So we're one of the larger number of delegates, I believe. So we'll be able to vote. The delegates will be able to vote on these resolutions at the delegate assembly. I think that's all I have for the resolutions. So I'll hand it over to Ronald for the budget vote results.
All right, so thank you all for voting.
Did we lose Ronald? Or is that me that we lost?
I can't hear you, Ted.
I can't hear Ronald either.
Oh, Ronald.
Ron has frozen up.
His home internet froze. I'll send him a message. Well, I say we
Oh,
move forward
Oh,
and we can get.
I apologize. I'm back. Can you all hear me?
Oh, there he is. Yes, now we can hear you,
Yeah.
Ronald.
Yeah, my Teams totally crashed. It was weird. Okay. So anyways, I think this slide is a placeholder. Try going to the next slide. Because this is different from what I submitted. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you,
Yes, we can
Ted.
hear you.
Okay, can you go to the next slide, please? I think this was like a placeholder. Okay. Well, that's fine. Go back to the previous slide then. Thank you. Yeah, this is different from what I submitted. So anyways, essentially the results, and I can pull this up really quick. Give me 5 seconds. It was on the slide, but it's not here.
If you want to forward it to me real quick, I can get it up there.
Oh no, it's fine. Well, I'll forward it to you regardless, but just so I don't waste any more time here. So the results were 84.62% of those who voted approved the budget. Thank you all for voting, the ones who did vote, of course. I did receive a few emails kind of providing feedback and whatnot and concerns, and I definitely appreciate all of that, 100%. I just wanted to highlight one of the concerns that I heard, or that from a few people, was that, we did reduce some of the budget for a few of the, I guess, the accounts or spending categories on things like membership meetings, membership committee meetings, I should say, and then like things like the contract action team, etc. And I'll just say that the fact that we reduce those budgets doesn't, because I know the concern was that like we would that was potentially a sign that we were wanting to commit less to those, but thankfully that is not the case. We were just proposing a budget that was more in line with what we thought those groups or committees actually needed. So that's not an indication of of us reducing our commitment to those and whatnot. And the contract action team, that one did reduce significantly because we anticipate that will be more active in like the contract negotiating years, like the odd years. But we can still technically meet for those during like the even years. But in any case, if anyone has any questions about the budget that was passed, feel free to let me know. And then the other thing too, and once again, I had a slide for it, but not sure why it's not here. The budget audit that is happening next. That will be happening in late January 2024 or early February 2024. If you are interested, please let me know. You can message me on Teams or email me at ronald.dixon@state-diamond.us. It is a good, fun way to kind of learn about our budget processes if you want to help out and whatnot. It's not a huge commitment. If you would get, for attending kind of the meeting I have for it in late January, early February, you'd get a free lunch. And if you are a dues paying member, we can do that reimbursement. Additionally, for completing the project, you also get like a $25 gift card of your choice. So yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ronald. I appreciate it. And the update on the budget vote, that's great to know that it passed with 84%. So thank you for that update. Okay, we're going to go next to Ted, and he's going to have a discussion on the budget and the potential dues increase. So I'm just asking everyone, I know it's a topic that can get enthusiastic conversations, and I just would request that we all keep it professional, and we understand that the dues increase is something that we will have a lot of discussion today. So just please keep it professional as I'll just leave it at that. So take it away, Ted.
And if you have questions, send them to Jeff, preferably in Teams, and then he can ask them when we're done here. Or you can send them to me also. It'll be harder for me to get to it though, which is why I would prefer them going to Jeff because I'm running the PowerPoint here. Okay, let me give you some background details on how we came to the proposals that will be presented at Delegate Assembly. As one of the largest member-run unions in the country, we at MAPE stand at the intersection of influence and change. But as we navigate an ever-changing world, our financial structures, including our dues, need to keep pace. Over a decade has passed since our last dues update, which has seen rising costs and economic fluctuations, yet our collective financial contribution to our power has remained stagnant. Unions in the public sector are crucial for sustaining robust, equitable, and high-quality public services. We as public employees have a powerful voice in our workplace through our collective action. We negotiate not just for better wages, benefits, and working conditions, but also for improving public services that our communities rely upon. In an age where the roles in public sectors are ever evolving and challenging, the power of a strong union to advocate for its members is indisputable. When we thrive, so does the state of Minnesota. Solidarity isn't a service that MAPE provides, it's the essence of who we are. It makes us resilient against external forces that seek to divide us, whether through culture wars or identity politics. So as we approach the delegate assembly, let's be clear, this isn't about increasing revenue, it's about fortifying our collective strength. We're not customers of MAPE, we are MAPE. And we didn't just win paid parental leave, respectful workplace policies, free mental health care, and frontline worker bonuses because they were handed to us. We are organized, we advocated, and we secured those improvements together. Public approval of unions is at a 70-year high, reflected in labor movements across the country. And at 16,500 strong, we have significant bargaining power, as shown in our recent contract, which includes the largest wage increase in over 40 years, and additional benefits like expanded sick leave, telework appeals process, and more. Financially fueling our future. So unions aren't just about immediate wins, but sustainable long-term change. Our dues create a stable financial base that ensures we can continually improve our work conditions and quality of life. So the finance work group has been exploring how to make this more equitable for everyone. And now I'm going to change what I'm sharing. I'm going to switch over to our strategic plan review. So this is part of the background details of where we've come to the decisions that are being proposed. So I'm going to stop sharing here for a second. And okay, how does this look? Is it nice and big?
Looks good. Yep.
Excellent. Okay. So my very first board meeting was a board retreat. That was in 2020, and that's when we started planning our strategic plan. We had to go through, we spent days with a professional firm, figuring out where we needed to go. And so, and what our goals were, what our needs were. And they came up with our 5-year plan about a year and a half later. So a lot of effort was put into it. There were hundreds of interviews, dozens of meetings, a lot of talk with a lot of members about what they thought and where we thought we should go. So this strategic plan had a lot of effort and time and thought and care and opinions put into it. Investing in our future. So financial resources are essential to build membership. As membership numbers increase, we have more power to create our workplace, to create the workplace our members deserve. So we want to make sure that we have the resources to make meaningful investments in our future. And so our power comes from 3 places: our people, our resources or money, and our ideas. And so our members are the foundation of our union, and then the ideas and resources come from those. And that's a point we keep driving home, that MAPE is a community. We are the members. You are MAPE. If you don't put in the time, the money, the effort, the ideas, we don't go anywhere. So the more people that we have that step up and do things, the more we can collectively do. If nobody cares about it, it goes away. And we don't have, you know, a national AFSCME that runs things for us. We do everything ourselves. We do have staff that we hire to run MAPE internally, but they don't make any of the decisions. All decisions are member decisions, member run. And we know that our members want to win bigger fights. We want to have, we don't want to strike, but we want to have the power to strike, to throw our weight around. And to do that, we need more members, we need more money, and we need more time and resources and support. And all that comes from our financial resources, member engagement, acceptance for MAPE, and knowledge that we are a community and that everybody puts into it. So our finance work group and board of directors proposed a fair dues structure that would be more sustainable and line up more with the resources needed to support members. And this is more in for the dues proposal now. So MAPE hasn't increased dues in more than 10 years. You've heard that a few times now, I hope. We have been excellent stewards of our members' money in order to be able to go that long without increasing dues. Some of our financial solvency depends upon a dues increase and increased membership. So currently we have an outdated regressive flat rate dues structure that almost every other union has moved past at this point. In addition to that, it's been over a decade since we've increased anything. And our current membership is at 67%, and our goal is to get it to 70%. And so this isn't just about balancing the books, as you can read right there. It's about investing in our collective power and securing a vibrant future for all MAPE members. So that's where the sustainability comes into it. So every year we get a cost of living adjustment, but our union hasn't had one for 10 years. So this has severely strained our financial resources. Our members' dues generate more than 99% of our annual revenue, and we are looking at other ways to increase our revenue. And some of those can only happen with the budget we proposed at Delegate Assembly. We are trying to increase money in certain places. So I can go into detail if anybody wants to contact me at a different time, but we have ideas. One of those is we have rented out the lower part of our building. And so we have some income coming in that way, but we are trying to expand that. There are plenty of ideas out there of how we can do things, but we need the money and the people to be able to pull them off. So our board of directors heard many proposals. I want to say it was somewhere 60 to 80 overall, but I think there were over 120 that Todd said we had in general. And we dwindled them all down to the final one we eventually voted on. So pooling our resources to build the next generation of union and investment members, and then building power through member engagement. So those are the two things that we looked at when making our decisions and looking at the proposals and seeing what would be best. The final dues proposal. Board recommends a dues structure tied to an individual's hourly wage and capped at $32.50. We feel this would be the most sustainable and has a good amount of fairness and equitability built into it. Obviously, things can change in the years to come. New proposals can be voted on, but this is the best option we found through the over 100 that we went through. And so the 45 minutes of pay, don't think of it as a burden, think of it as an investment in our collective strength and our sustainability to a shared future. By protecting the union and our future, it helps protect our own interests also. Our interests are aligned with our union interests. That's why you have a union in the first place. So if you have a question about what you might be paying if this proposal is passed, you can go to the MAPE website and there is a dues proposal toolkit or page, and on there you can type in your pay and you can see what you'd be paying per paycheck. Some of yours will actually go down, not many. If you're a newer employee, that might be the case. Most of yours will go up. Some of them will be at the cap, some will not. Eventually, hopefully, we all get to the cap. It means we're all doing better. Part of the process here. So again, It's been a decade. Last time we moved from 15 to 21%, which is a 40% increase. And some of our additional funds at that time went into the future years operations fund. So that fund was put to use and funded for future use. So we knew that eventually our dues would run out and we'd need to ask for an increase. The Future Years Operations Fund was created so that we would have time to figure out the best next step and how much we would need. So for the last 2 years, we've depleted the Future Years Operations Fund, figuring out where to go forward and what our best next steps would be. So this dues assessment was performed to compare MAPE's dues and models with other unions. We created 33 variations to the board over the last 3 months. Those are the final ones that went there. There were plenty of others that weren't put forth to the board that the Finance Workgroup Committee dwindled down themselves. So if we had 20 different ideas there, we went down to 5 or 10 and brought those to the board. But the ones that actually ended up in front of the board, about 33. And then the board members completed a survey to gauge the support and the different dues update options. And then we had a retreat to discuss the results and prepare for the meeting where everything was voted on. So the board of directors approved the dues update to be included in the 2024 finance report. That's compiled by the Finance Workgroup Committee and presented during budget forums. And if you are interested in attending one of those budget forums, the last one is next Tuesday, the 24th, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff. But I think it's the 24th at noon, and it is listed on the MAPE website there in the either in the I think it's in the Delegate Assembly Toolkit. So go ahead on there. You can join that by Zoom over lunch, and you can get a little bit more robust information here on how everything happened. Those were the budget for so those are the previous budget forums that were held beforehand. Those more explained about the expenses. And the new ones right now are more talking about the revenue. So every delegate assembly, the board has to put forth a budget proposal, just like we do here in our local. So if you were paying attention to that, it's the same process basically. Board says, okay, this is what we spent last year after the Finance Workgroup Committee compiles all the numbers. And the board says, okay, so here's what Finance Workgroup Committee, FWC, maybe I'll just start saying, says things should go here, this should be increased, this should be decreased, and the board says, okay, we agree with all these, but there's few amendments. We'll, increase this one, decrease that one. We'd like to add line item here. And then once it's all done, that's the budget proposal that goes to delegate assembly to get voted on. So that's the first vote that will happen at DA. And then after that, we have to fund the budget. And so that's where the dues proposal will come in. That's for the previous budget forum. This is for delegates. And I think that's the majority of the information we were looking at there. I'm going to switch back to the other sharing now. How's it look? Is it nice and big? You muted.
Looks good. Yep.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so we've covered pretty much everything on here. I'm assuming Jeff has been getting some questions. So as of right now, I'll leave that up there. And I'm going to put a poll out here also. Let me know if that goes through or not.
I can see the poll, yes.
Excellent, okay. And Jeff, have you gotten any questions on anything yet?
Yes, I do. First one is, can you ask Ted to go a bit deeper into how the Finance Committee received public input on this dues change? When did they start getting input?
The Finance Committee didn't get input from the members. The board was getting input from the members for the strategic plan and how things should be implemented over the next 5 years. I do not have more specific information on when and where those things were happening. I was a newer board member, like I said, at the time that all that was starting, so I wasn't really a part of that process, sorry. But you can reach out to some of the other board members who I'm sure would be happy to go into some more details.
Okay, the next question, can we know why none of the locals are not getting any of the increase? We get $1.25 right now, and that will stay the same going forward. Why won't locals get any increase, say to $2 or something like that?
Okay, so the $1.25 that goes from our membership dues goes back to the local. So every member, that's how your local is funded. That money is for member engagement. And I'm sure the person asking the question knows this, but there are probably people out there who don't, so I wanted to expand on a little bit. This isn't a part of that process. However, there's no reason it can't be brought up. I have heard that question previously, and personally, I've already had the idea to increase that. So I am already myself, as a director, planning on bringing that forward to the board. My proposal is, as of now, as I get ideas and thoughts and opinions from people, I do change my mind on things. But as of right now, my proposal is going to be to increase that to $1.50. Some of the feedback I have heard is that not all the locals use their money anyway. So in addition to that proposal, I'm also going to propose that no local, so if locals aren't using their funds, it just builds up and you've got a nice base and you want to have some of that just in case. But there's no reason to keep hoarding the money. It's supposed to be for member engagement. Your local's supposed to use as much as they can. It's not supposed to be a rainy day fund or anything like that. That's what the strike fund, the crisis fund for is at MAPE Central. So to encourage locals using that money, I'm also wanting to add on that a local cannot hold over more than 100% of their previous year's dues. And so what that would look like is if well, maybe Ronald can chime in here, but I believe we get around 60,000 a year is our local. Maybe he's
around, so you said around, so 60,000 is well, Crystal, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. So 60,000 is roughly what we have in the bank. I believe we generally, with the amount of members we have and the percentage who are dues paying, I've generally estimated that to be around 20,000 per year. So like that's roughly how much we get. I don't have the exact number off the top of my head, but it's roughly 20,000. And I think that maybe it's a little bit higher. That's generally kind of a low ball, I think, estimate, but it's definitely not 60,000.
Okay, so wasn't our budget like around 35,000?
Yes, it's like yeah, and I don't have the exact. It's like around 38,000 ish, which
okay.
we with like kind of the with the knowledge that it's unlikely that we would spend all of it, but we've but yeah, it's but that's kind of like the maximum based on all the categories and whatnot that we
Gotcha.
that we have. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just round that up to 40,000 right now, just for this conversation. So the proposal would be that at the end of the year, if a local had more than, what they earned in the previous year still there, that would go back to MAPE Central. I feel this would encourage locals to use the funds more. And like I said, that percentage, the amounts, whatever can be changed. I want to dig in deeper to what other locals have and are using also before putting a proposal forth, but that is coming. I'm absolutely going to be putting that forth, and that hopefully, if it gets approved, would increase the amount that locals get. There are other proposals that could be put forth out there, of course. For example, locals that use more should get more, but I don't know how exactly that would look at this point. But it's a valid question, like why can't locals get more? And so we've never run into that issue at our local of running out of money. I feel like that'd be a good problem to have because that would be massive member engagement, which is what you want.
Okay, thanks, Ted. Next question. How many people from 401 were involved, approved dues increase proposal?
Not quite sure I understand the question, since it was done at the board of directors. Every region gets one director. So that's where most of the proposal came from. You know, everybody votes on their regional director, and then they go forth and put forth the budget just like every year in order to fund the budget and the dues proposal that was done. I'm on the finance workgroup committee, and there's about 5 other directors, I want to say, on the finance workgroup committee. I might have that listed here somewhere. I can pull it up. But those are the people involved in the financial aspects of it, but the decisions are all made by the board.
Okay, I think that answers the question.
Okay.
I'm not seeing any numbers here. What are estimated monthly income for MAPE? Where is the money being spent?
So that is where you would want to go to the budget forum. Next, what did I say, next Tuesday, the 24th? I'll pull that up here while I'm.
Yeah, it is.
talking
It's next
also.
Tuesday, the 24th at noon.
Okay. Okay. And you can find that right on the MAPE website. Just go right to click on Delegate Assembly right in the front there. And there's the Zoom link right there for it. Okay. And so
I will be at that meeting. Yes, I think it's a good idea to attend.
yeah, you'll get a lot more budget information. I can give you some rough numbers off the top of my head, but don't hold my feet to the fire for them. But some of the information and charts that we've been showing in these forums, for example, show that it's approximately 300,000 per year that our costs go up at the union. I believe we are looking at around 7 million is currently what our expenditures are. And so the dues proposal, well, that's what they were. And we didn't have enough to fund that for next year. So the dues increase, our budget is proposed to be about 7.8 million for next year. We want to put money back into the future years fund, which is like I said, like the rainy day fund. We want to increase our technology fund. We know our website is pretty outdated, and so we know that needs to be done, but we don't have the money to do it. We currently have 13, I believe, different programs running different things for MAPE instead of, you know, consolidating them all under one umbrella or two. So there's a lot of things we need, not just want, but need to put the money forth to. And like I said, you can get more detailed information. I don't want to just keep throwing numbers out there without, you know, knowing for sure. But I know in the past, like Chet has said, that on average, our union dues, or not dues, our union budget goes up about 300,000 every year. We don't know exactly how the new hourly structure is going to look when it comes to increases, but as members make more, they pay more. As the union gets a good contract and a good cost of living adjustment, that also will increase our income, our revenue. So I kind of made that a long answer. It didn't really have to be, but come next Tuesday, you'll get a lot more actual detailed revenue explanation. They do have a Q&A there also. You can ask questions. I don't know if you're going to be able to go line by line through each item. That if you're a delegate, you probably can do that at the delegate assembly. We will have laptops out there, the finance workgroup committee. We're going to have a full table. People can come up and ask us questions about each item. So if you're a delegate, you're going to be afforded that opportunity. And if you want that opportunity, look at being a delegate next year. I do know that we have nitpicked and cut down on all of our line items for the last 5-6 years in order to get to this point, to make it this far without a dues increase. But I couldn't give you specific information. Sorry.
Okay, thanks, Ted. Next question is, how will money be spent differently to increase membership to the goal of 70%? Thank you.
Well, that's a good question. And a lot of that comes from you helping out. If you're able to join the membership committee, so we have more people talking to new hires. We currently at revenue have about 66% membership. So that means if you were at your desk or if you look on Teams at your unit, the person above and below you, one of those two people isn't a member. So you can certainly go out and talk to them. So we also have a lot of drives, membership drives. We have been pushing this more in the last 6-12 months. A lot of efforts recently have been going into all sorts of other things, including contract negotiations. So for example, right before voting started for our current contract, we increased our members by over 600. So the engagement is there, but we need help constantly. I mean, if you want more members, help us get more members. I obviously don't know who's asking this question, but the best way to do it is to go in there and help us get more members. The more members we have, the more sustainability we have, more money we have, the more sustainability we have. This dues proposal is to help with that. So hopefully with any luck, we won't have to come back for another 10, maybe 20 years to ask for dues increase, maybe just slight adjustments are all that'll be needed.
And
That's my
can
hope.
I add something really, really quick, in terms of the local budget into that question?
Sure.
Yeah, so one really, really quick thing to add is that, the local budget, while it's, relatively peanuts relative to the size of the kind of the overall MAPE budget, MAPE kind of the statewide budget, it is still and can be used as a powerful tool for like membership recruitment. Like we have our as Ted mentioned, membership engagement or the membership committee. And especially with work from home, I know that it is, kind of challenging to do like membership recruitment and engagement. But if you have any ideas, talk to any of the officers, the local leadership team, Ted, myself, etc. We have room in our local budget to be able to fund things, fund activities, fund events, fund efforts to enhance our membership recruitment to hopefully get to that 70%. So if you have any ideas or want to help, want to volunteer, help make that happen, please let us know.
Ronald, do you want to keep talking for a second here? Look what I got up for you.
Oh, I think I got everything I summarized in the previous was everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but thank you though, I appreciate it. And if anyone wants the specific numbers, whatever from what's on the slide right there, let me know. I can give you that info.
Well, at least they can see it for a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Is Ted's proposal for this delegate assembly? I think the answer to that is no. You were talking about that would go to the board, right, Ted?
Is my proposal for this delegate? Oh, I'm assuming that's about the local increase and.
Yeah, that's what I was assuming too.
Yeah. Yes, nope, that's separate for the board. So with any luck, I'll be able to get that in there in the next 6 months or so.
How many voting members are there? Will fair share prices increase?
Well, there are no fair share prices anymore since Janus in 2018, I believe it is. So no fair share prices won't increase. They'll still be at 0, unfortunately. That's why if you know somebody who was a fair share member before, check with them, see if they're a member. What was the first part of that question again?
It was how many voting members are there?
Delegate assembly. Off the top of my head, I don't know, but if I'm going to guess, I'm going to say around, I believe it can fluctuate between 180 and 220. If anybody was there last year and wants to send you a message, they can.
I can follow up and get that answer for that person.
Yeah, there is also, if you look on the website in that delegate assembly section, I believe there is a report that shows how many each local gets for delegates. If not, that might be a delegate form. So if that's the case, Jeff, you'll just have to get that to them separately. But if anybody else wants to dig in there in the DA toolkit, I believe it shows how many delegates each local has. So all you have to do is add them together. But if I remember in years past, like when they do the trustee check and see how many people are there, I want to say 160 to 200 sounds about right.
Okay. Why is a cap part of the dues calculation when effectively we have a cap not just at $21? Isn't wrong headed to have a cap?
There was definitely some debate about that, and there are many reasons the cap was chosen. One of the reasons I voted for a cap is I think it will be easier to get past with a cap. That can always be revisited in the future. I also think that we will have less of a membership drop with a cap. When this was voted on 12 years ago and the dues increase happened 10 years ago, there was about a 5% membership drop, which has been accounted for in our proposal and how much, the budgeted amount. So, and it took about 2 years for that 5% to be gained back. So it wasn't detrimental. And if that's what we're looking at, again, 5% drop and 2 years to get it back, that's more than acceptable. The cap can be adjusted in the future. One of the things personally I've thought about is attaching the cap to the lowest paid members and having it be just twice that, so it constantly goes up as our lowest paid member goes up. That would have the sustainability that we don't need to vote on every year. Whether or not that can be done per the bylaws, we haven't dug into yet. We're letting me and a couple other board members who would think that'd be a good idea are just waiting till after everything to see if it's even legal through our bylaws. So the cap isn't hard set in stone, but if it does stay that way, it's a lot easier to come in 4 or 5 years and say we need to increase the cap to 35 or something like that than it is to change our whole structure or go from a $21 flat fee to a $30 flat fee.
Okay, thanks, Ted. What is the forecasted membership dues amount?
Not quite sure I understand the question. What is the forecasted membership dues amount?
I think that's asking about the calculation, your hourly rate times 0.75 with the cap.
So I would go to the dues proposal toolkit and just type in your wages as they're going to be on January 1st. And that will tell you how much you'll be paying. If you're looking at a more robust number, we think that what it will result in is 7.8 million for the union, which will be enough to, run our union for the next few years.
7-8 million additional or 7.8 million total?
Total.
Okay. Message from Robert at Indito. He has additional information on the budget forum and he will include that in the recap email.
Okay, excellent.
Tyson, our membership secretary, says that 401 has 7 delegates, 119 delegates total. Only 2 locals have more delegates than 401.
Okay. And so then 119, and then you add the board members and the committee members, you're probably at around 150, I'm thinking. That's good to know.
All right. And since there are 22 people that voted no to the survey to demonstrate that they are not in favor of it, do we need another local 401 dues increase meeting to address their questions or concerns?
I mean, I don't think we need another meeting to address the concerns. People can come forth with their concerns to us. Speak to any of the delegates, speak to me, speak to other board members. If you want to reach out to our president, Megan, vice president, Angie, they are always willing to hear conversations from the members about anything. This right now is our time to bring forth, questions and concerns. I'd say that goal is actually on the low end from the other locals and regions that I've heard. It's typically been higher, 75, 80, 85% approval.
Okay. I believe that is it for the questions that I see, Ted. If I missed anything out there, please resend to me. or if you have another question, let me know. And I appreciate everyone with the questions and the discussion. Thank you, Ted. Jason, you want to do the community donations survey?
I'm guessing Jason didn't know there'd be time for him.
All right, I'll take it. We had the Q3 donations, and Can Do Canines received the most votes. They'll get the $500 donation from the local 401. And Jason is working on the Q4 survey. He'll get that sent out soon. And we're on to Stewart's Corner. Chris, you have enough time, do you think?
I believe I just made Chris a presenter. If not, Robert can do that. Oh, there he is. He should be able
Hey,
to
look
see.
at that. I thought I was going to be shunted out of this because
You made
of
it. Yay.
because my mic was disabled. I thought, oh, how am I ever going to tell you that my mic don't work? Great. So what led up to this is that there was a couple of investigations that I was a part of where had people had their paperwork done correctly, they would not be suffering under an investigation for lack of performance. And I then worked with HR to come up with some stuff to put out in the sales and use tax newsletter. And so you can kind of check that if you have access to that. If not, I don't have any problem emailing you the article either. But to present it, basically, I did two articles, one on FMLA and one on ADA. Today, I guess we'll talk about ADA. So disability rights are civil rights. And the thing is, you deserve a reasonable accommodation for a qualifying disability. Now, there's a big caveat there. It has to be a qualifying disability. For instance, you can't be an airline pilot if you're legally blind. You know, that's not a qualifying disability. So, but there are other obvious, easily reasonable accommodations that can happen. So you need to work with the ADA representative, and I didn't even think I'd have time, so I did not pull up my notes, and I can quickly, or you can reach out to me and I'll give it to you. But there is a ADA coordinator at Human Resources. I listed it in the sales and use tax newsletter, and if you want the article, I can certainly forward that to you. I'm not sure. Maybe if somebody wants to ask me a question, I might spur some more information. But basically, we are under Title I because we have more than 15 employees, and you know everybody has a right to some kind of reasonable accommodation, of course, and the caveat is it has to be a qualifying disability. That's pretty much all I got in a nutshell. If you want to talk about FMLA, maybe we do that next next meeting.
Yep, we'll find the time next month. Thanks, Chris. Now, in your introduction, you'd mentioned that the paperwork can be a stumbling block sometimes. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, if you don't have, for instance, if you don't have your ADA pre-filled out before your performance drops, when you do get filled out, it doesn't get backdated. So it only counts from the time that they receive it. And we've had some problems where they didn't process it in time, and we kind of got them on that. I think some of our other stewards can talk about that particular case if they want to. But yeah, it counts from when they receive the application. So get it in before you think you're going to have a problem. If you can identify you've got a qualifying disability and it's going to affect your performance, you need to get your paperwork in.
Okay, great advice. Thanks, Chris. And then I have a question. What month was the article in the Sun?
It wasn't this month, so the month before, the last 2 months, not counting October.
So it's like August and September.
So August and September, one was FMLA and the other was ADA.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chris. I think Toe is up next. Can you do it in 2 minutes? Toe, these slides? That's a half a slide for Toe usually, isn't it?
Jeff, you should know me better than that. I do
I
at least like
know.
a full half an hour. But I
I
just
was
wanted to add something
joking.
onto like ADA here. Just one thing to note is that your supervisor. Oh, let me turn on the camera. Your supervisor cannot reference your ADA, you know, the accommodations, FMLA, or any other programs that you may be on in your performance review at all. So just make sure that if that happens, you gotta call your supervisor or appeal that right away if that's in your performance review. And second of all is I think maybe Chris have highlighted this, but you know, I think there's got to be like greater emphasis on accommodations, you know, like your supervisor, I'm not supervisor, but HR, the Department of Revenue doesn't have to accommodate to everything that you may have requested. I mean, they're not going to, you know, give you everything and the kitchen sink. So just make sure that, you know, like at least some of your needs are met, at least the core needs and something like that. If not, just reach out to during the entire process. You should always have a steward on hand there just to kind of help you out. So we have plenty of great stewards here available at any time for you. I'm a steward, so you feel free just to reach out to me. That's it on my spiel, and I'll continue the labor movement and the 8-hour work day next month. I'm perfectly fine with that. Thanks, Jeff.
All right, thank you, Toe. Thanks to everyone. Thank you to all that presented today. We appreciate it. And any questions on the delegate assembly or the dues increase or the budget, feel free to reach out to me or Ted or anybody in the Circle of Trust, and we'll get you the answers that you need. And again, I would recommend attending that budget forum next Tuesday. And Robert will include the information on that in the recap email. I think that's everything. Thanks, guys. See you next month.
Thanks, everyone.